Well, it looks like this channel has just reached over 2,000 subscribers, and that's awesome. So, how do you think we should commemorate this, Negative X?
I have an idea. Why don't we revisit a list?
Splendid idea, but I've uploaded a good amount of them. Which one?
Why don't we go back to the first one we did together? Hair manipulation. And add an extra 10.
So a top 20 list on the characters with the power of hair manipulation, taking the 10 characters from our original list, and 10 new ones to discuss on this already esoteric topic, and then mix them up since our opinions may have changed. Alright, I like it. But we've never gone beyond 10 on a list. Can we do it?
I have an idea. All we gotta do is take off our shoes and use our fingers and toes.
Okay then, let's go back to the first topic we covered as a team. But do you think we should go over what hair manipulation is again for those who don't know or need to be refreshed?
Sure. Hair manipulation is the power to manipulate your hair. Done.
Wonderful. Looks like I'm explaining this one. Hair manipulation is very recognizable when a character has this unique ability. The character has the ability to move his or her hair as if it was an extension of his or her body to assist them in whatever they need to do, usually fighting scenarios that we've seen. Their hair's usefulness has a wide range, from being able to simply lift objects to punching enemies with the force of 1,000 charging bulls. Even if the character does not control their hair with some sort of sorcery, they can emulate fictional hair manipulation with the science of momentum to pack the biggest punch the hair can pack, or by tying some sort of weapon to it. And you know what? We found at least 20 of them. So it's time for the top 20 characters with the power of hair manipulation. 2,000 subscriber special. Of course, I probably didn't need to read that bottom part.
Number 20 is Entrapta from She-Ra.
She is a talented inventor, but her intelligence in the field of science does not help her when trying to use her magic ability, which seems like it would be better to use against a character whose primary source of power is also from magic. She-Ra is probably stronger than the tanks Entrapta built anyway, and she only uses her magic hair powers to pull levers, except that one time she tried to hit that annoying character nobody probably likes. May I add, she didn't even make contact with him? Go back to trying to invent things and rubbing flowers. You're lucky you got an invitation to this list.
Yeah, she's pretty much a waste of space. Next.
Number 19 is Medusa from Marvel Comics. She started off as a Fantastic Four villain and eventually became a general Marvel villain. She can use her hair in a variety of ways, like to grab enemies and whip enemies and grab enemies? Alright, maybe I have to dig a little deeper, but her abilities are there. She never really did anything that we found too interesting. She does have an impressive resume, but the depth of her power seems to vary depending upon how strong she has to be for the plot. So even though she has done plenty more than some of the higher entries on our list, she doesn't make that much of an impression. Maybe she just needs a feature-length live-action movie to make her popular to the public eye. Medusa the movie. Make it happen, Marvel, or Disney, or Fox, whoever owns your movie rights.
Number 18 is the Witch Woman from 47 Ronin. For those of you who haven't seen the movie, spoiler alert, she can also turn into a dragon. In the final fight scene, she initially uses her hair powers to fight before falling back on her much better power of being a dragon.
And let's just say the fight did not work out too well for her in the end. Maybe if she stuck to her hair manipulation powers, it would have worked out better. I mean, if you look at earlier in the movie, she was pretty adept at using it to pick up food. Alright, maybe the dragon was a good idea. Number 17, Rapunzel from the Fairy Tales. She's the first character on this list to use pure physics with her hair manipulation. No magic to fortify it whatsoever in many versions of the story. Of course, sometimes magic has to do with why it's long, but not in how she fights with it. The classic fairy tale doesn't have her fight that often, though. The guy trying to save her just climbs up the hair, which apparently doesn't hurt her. Rapunzel, in iterations where she fights back, uses momentum to manipulate her hair as a whip, or as a rope, or even just as a physical weapon. Remember, that 100 pounds of hair she's hitting you with is still 100 pounds. However, normally she is not that violent.
I don't know, I'm willing to guess that she was able to choke people out with it too. And that initially, before the fairy tale, she was just luring strangers into the tower and killing them and taking their stuff.
That's pretty dark. However, that's pretty on par with the tone of the regular Grimm's fairy tales. But still, that's kind of disturbing.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question. Why did she get put up in that tower? Probably trying to stop Rapunzel, the Butcher of the Woods. Number 16 is Iron Vest from Once Upon a Time in China. Now, he doesn't technically have hair manipulation powers, he just ties a knife to his hair and swings it at people. However, he uses this very effectively, much better than many of the other people on this list. If he had full hair manipulation powers, I guarantee you he would have won every fight he got into.
Wait, he's only number 16. Why do you say he's better than most of the other characters on this list?
Personal biases?
Number 15 is the mustache from The Tick. This is a mustache that acts as a parasite, leeching itself onto its host as a standard mustache. It's really just looking for its soulmate, which is a beard with similar powers. The show knows it's weird, don't look into it too much. The mustache can expand its hair tendrils to grab objects, including holding back the Tick's fist from removing the mustache, and typing messages to its host to tell them its mission. In Spanish.
It really reminds me of a more stylish version of Venom.
That being said, because the character itself is just a mustache only made of hair, does this technically count as hair manipulation? Or is this just him simply moving his body and reaching for things using his muscles, which just happen to look like mustache hair?
This got a lot more philosophical than I thought it would. Number 14 is Minatsuki from Dead Man Wonderland. While technically speaking, it is blood magic that she is using, she uses it through her hair to kill things.
Doesn't every character in this show use blood? Why don't they all just use it in their hair?
Yeah, but they all have different powers related with it. Some have blood arm blades, some shoot blood balls at people.
Oh, then why doesn't she just choose to use those blood-related powers instead of getting blood in her hair? I mean, that might take more than just shampoo to get out.
Well, technically speaking, she didn't have a choice. It just kind of happens that you get your individual power. But it's an unfortunate one to have.
Number 13 is Heiki Kagero from Super Punch-Out! Although he just has a standard long hairstyle with a limited skill set based around the hair, his main momentum-based hair manipulation is a fierce hair flip right to the face of his opponent. Little Mac will react to being hit by this hair in the same manner as he would to any hard punch to the face by any other opponent in the game, meaning the way Heiki whips his hair back and forth creates the feeling of a punch by a heavyweight boxer. And he doesn't have extra weight on his hair like Rapunzel did, which makes this specific hair flip one of the most lethal hair flips by a human without notable supernatural powers.
Number 12 is the Ghost Lady from Mr. Vampire. Now, I don't actually know her name, and she's only in the movie briefly, but when she's in it, it gets crazy. Some of her powers include turning her hair into pointy spikes and throwing her entire head at people.
Some credits of the movie do refer to her as Jade, but her name is never explicitly stated. And before we see her use those crazier powers you just mentioned, she attacks you with her eerie braid of hair, commanding it like a snake to wrap around her enemies' necks. She starts to strangle the martial arts master of the protagonists, but ultimately has to rely on her other tactics since he's a master of the supernatural and knows how to cut hair.
And just think, she's got a very sympathetic backstory, because she just wants to be loved, even though she's dead.
Number 11 is Shantae from the Shantae series. Shantae is a cornucopia of powers at her disposal, from fire to animal transformations. But her most basic and most versatile attack that she's had in all games across the series is her hair whip, which is a simple straight whip with her ponytail. While it's just a clean, straightforward motion that doesn't offer any other abilities like growing or grabbing as we've seen with other entries on this list, it's just so adaptable to the situation. It can take down enemies, destroy battle tanks, and even deflect cannonballs. Sometimes you have to respect quality over quantity.
That speaks not only to the speed of her hair whip, but also the power behind it.
Yeah, she has to be using more than just L'Oreal. Oh wait, I've made that joke in another video. Maybe she's born with it, maybe it's Maybelline? Well, technically that would be Fructis. Yeah, forget it, the hair is strong.
Yeah, I want to see her in a lightsaber versus her hair fight. My money's on her hair. Number 10 is Flare Corona from Fairy Tail.
More like Flairy Tail.
Oh!
Don't hurt me.
Anyways, she has the power, like all the characters on this, to manipulate her hair. She can not only change its length, but can actually change the temperature of it as well, so that it's scalding hot. So when she's grabbing people and throwing them to the ground, she's burning them as well.
Plus, if she wants to heat up some food, she can just put it on her head.
I guess she doesn't mind having a hair in her lunch. Oh my word, yes.
Alright, this entry is over. We're done with number 10. Number 9 is Queen Beryl from Sailor Moon. She never used this power in the original anime, but when she used it in the manga, or for those who didn't read it like me, in Sailor Moon Crystal, she revealed this power with a vengeance. It was a pretty normal standoff, and all of a sudden Queen Beryl grabs all of the Sailor Senshi with her hair, and she has a pretty commanding hold on them. Really, none of you have the power to escape this? You can use fire, electricity. Speaking of electricity, when she had all of them in her hair's grasp, she started electrocuting them with her hair tendrils. What an addition! She looked like she was going to win since nobody was prepared for this, but of course Sailor Venus just so happens to be carrying Tetsaiga with her and cuts herself free from the hair. Apparently this hurts Queen Beryl enough to break everyone out of her hair, and then Queen Beryl never uses this power again. A barber, one of hair manipulation's most deadly enemies.
Number 8 is Bayonetta from, well, Bayonetta. Bayonetta has extreme control over her hair powers and uses them for everything, including making her own clothes. It really shows how smart she is. She's saving a fortune by not having to go shopping anymore, because she can just make her hair into her clothing.
You would think that would be problematic since she also uses her hair for her attacks to rip apart giant robots and other things, but it has its advantages, like when fighting in hot weather. Think about it, instant sleeveless top while putting the excess hair to good use for whips or whatever else she feels like creating. Isn't that right, Bayonetta?
You again? And here I thought I'd seen the last of you.
Hey, that was rude. But it reminds me, there was also a point in Bayonetta's life where she decided to make these outfits look like those of Nintendo characters, like Princess Peach and Samus, because apparently she's a fan? Number 7 is Sedusa from the Powerpuff Girls. She's not even hiding the fact that she uses her hair as her main power, but really, she doesn't need to. As you can see, her hair is styled like Medusa's if the snakes were actually just more hair. She was a lesser used reoccurring villain of the Powerpuff Girls, so we never got to see her powers outside the standard grabbing and whipping except for this one episode plot where her hair turned into actual hair snakes and she grew to the size of a building, but we're going to ignore that for this entry. She was pretty imaginative with her powers when she used hair gel to stick her opponents to surfaces. Good thing that hair gel doesn't actually serve the purpose of keeping her hair in place. However, while inventive, physics do affect Sedusa.
Sedusa really gets extra points for creativity. However, she loses points because her hair's weakness is water. When it gets wet, it becomes too heavy for her to use. Terrible. Terrible for a villain. What are you gonna do, not villain when it's rainy outside? Psh.
The only time we saw that happen, it led to her second weakness, which is the protagonist's shaving her head. However, we can't fault her too much for that, since most characters with the power of hair manipulation lose one of the key components of hair manipulation when they are shaved, the hair.
Number 6 is Sindel from Mortal Kombat.
She has just one hair whip that grabs people, but mainly because she is limited to being in a fighting game, where her hair whip is just one of her attacks, rather than her having various moves based around hair. If she wasn't bound to the rules of a fighting game where she has a pre-selected moveset, she would likely use her hair more, as seen in the Mortal Kombat X story mode where she prevents herself from falling off a cliff by stretching her hair to grab onto a rock, and not only pull herself up, but also the character Jax, who is grabbing onto her leg. And he is not light. He is listed as weighing around 350 pounds. That's some sturdy hair.
In addition to her hair manipulation powers, Sindel also has the ability to scream very loudly. A weaponized scream, if you will. Meaning that she has two, generally not used abilities as effective fighting tools.
Sindel was also a primary antagonist in the second live-action Mortal Kombat movie, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. But we're supposed to pretend that doesn't exist, so, I guess Sindel never had a role in the only live-action Mortal Kombat movie. Huh.
The world suddenly seems like such a better place.
No, but really that second movie does exist and Sindel is in it.
Hello, reality.
Number 5 is Milia Rage from Guilty Gear. She has a detailed backstory, but she's here because of everything she can do with her hair.
Unlike Sindel, her entire moveset is based around her hair. She doesn't need any, secondary abilities to make up for what her hair can't do. It's all hair all the time.
Each attack is a creative use of her hair. Similar to how fighting game characters use their body and limbs to hit the opponents, each different twist and turn of her hair has the same impact. She can basically create any offensive tool and even a barrier with her hair. A harrier, if you will. Yeah. If she feels like it, she'll even pay attention to aesthetics, like her pose where she has hair flowers. That means flowers made of her own hair. Only in bloom this time of the season. Or that finger waggle taunt thing that she does. This is the second fighting game character in a row on this list. That's coincidental, but the chances we'll see a third one in a row on this list is probably very low, right?
Apparently 100%, because number 4 is Philia, from Skullgirls.
Philia's hair has been overtaken by a parasite named Samson, who can transform into various tools to help Philia fight. It is unclear if these attacks are only controlled by Samson, or if Philia has a say in what is formed with her hair. But considering Samson needs a host, Philia seems to have some say in what he does. This is not the traditional hair manipulation we've seen from the rest of the characters on this list. Philia and Samson seem to have a symbiotic relationship, despite Samson being a parasite. So the way Samson moves and what he forms are in part due to Philia's guidance and movement of the rest of her body for the assist. Plus, Samson couldn't do all this if he wasn't attached to her hair. In terms of what Philia forms with her hair due to the power of Samson, she has an arsenal of moves more unique than Milia's. More than just hard hits, too. She can form drills, scorpion tails, and all of this. It's funny that the character that clearly drew inspiration from Milia beat her on this list. I think it's because she had some help from her parasite buddy.
The beautiful friendship from these two characters is really what sets them so high up. It's really one of the great friendships of our generation. Right up there with Agumon and Tai, Ash and Pikachu. That's right, Agumon and Tai come first.
It's not 1999 anymore. No one will care if... never mind. Number 3 is Yura of the Demon Hair from Inuyasha. So we've been focusing on the offense and movements of the characters we've discussed so far, but one other notable factor of hair manipulators is their common weaknesses, mainly being whatever damages hair, like fire, water, or being shaved. While Yura has some of the more unique techniques we've seen, like being able to set tripwire traps by making her hair invisible, controlling others like puppets using her hair as strings, and impaling others with tufts of hair, her best qualities lie in that she is not only seemingly immune to those weaknesses I listed earlier, but they actually work to her advantage. Cut off her hair? Don't worry, it keeps growing indefinitely. How about burning the hair? Don't worry, she'll do that for you. Really, she has no major weaknesses that don't involve destroying her press this button now to defeat this enemy weakness, being that only red skull in her collection that holds her true form, the comb. Oh yeah, spoiler alert, she's actually a comb. That was inconsiderate of me.
I'm not sure she's going to be too happy that we're letting everyone know her little secret about, the comb being her only weakness.
Yeah, they discovered her in episode 3, they found her weakness and destroyed her in episode 4. It wasn't that well kept of a secret.
Number 2 is Bobobo, Bo-bobo-bo.
That is both the name of the main character and the anime itself. I kind of just want to let this one speak for itself. Bobobo-bo is a nonsensical comedy anime about a dystopian future ruled over by a king and his forces who want to make everybody bald, but you very much forget about the main plot based on how much it shifts around. Bobobo is the main hero, if you want to call him that, who fights the other hair-themed bad guys with his magical nose hair powers, known as Fist of the Nose Hair, clearly referencing Fist of the North Star. Going into a deep analysis of this anime would be going against everything it stands for and trying to not make sense. What might be better is if I play you Negative X's reaction the first time he saw just the theme to this anime, not even an episode, just the theme. Okay, flashback time. Explain what you just saw.
I don't know what I just watched. What happened? Why was he a robot for a minute? What was that, sexy bullet doing there? Why?
Bobobo-bo easily has the largest arsenal of hair powers, and not just from his nostrils, but also from his afro, being able to literally pull anything from it, including having other characters jump into it after opening it up like a jar, resulting in a fusion that varies between characters, like this faux Sailor Moon. I could probably list off about 100 abilities made up in this series, all based around hair, so I guess you can't get any more on topic than protecting the world from going bald with your own hair powers. That is until you get to number 1 for being on topic, who I like more since she doesn't throw the book at you for all hair manipulation powers, but she does bring something interesting to the table in a live-action setting. Number 1 is Ni-Chang, the white-haired witch from the Forbidden Kingdom. A less is more choice. While she is not the most flashy of characters, she is quite skillful when using her hair as a tool. She makes the most out of her limitations, if you call being able to bind your enemies and reach and grab for things across any area with your hair a restraint, maybe compared to some of the other characters on this list. There was a gracefulness when using her hair manipulation. As for the plot, The Forbidden Kingdom is a movie where a teenager who is a fan of martial arts films awakens in the setting of one, with characters played by Jet Li and Jackie Chan being among his main allies. Ni-Chang, who is an antagonist, is based off the main character from the novel and subsequent movies based off that, Baifa Monu Zuan, only with a lot more hair manipulation. In fact, Ni-Chang's primary use of hair manipulation fits with how often it is used in other martial arts films. Look at this list. We've had examples from both classic and contemporary martial arts movies, some characters being bound to reality with their hair manipulation, and others with the power of fantasy assisting them, Ni-Chang being a part of the latter group. What makes this work in live action is the effects are not too elaborate to a point where it looks fake. It legitimately looks like her hair grows a mile a minute. In animation, you can get away with crazy hair manipulation, shapes, and whatnot, but when combining computer graphics with live action, there's a point you reach where it looks too ridiculous to combine the two styles of fake and real. Not to mention, Ni-Chang is just a cool character that is smart with her powers. Her hair is strong enough to fight and nearly kill the drunken master character portrayed by Jackie Chan. It doesn't matter what his role is in a movie. You need to be pretty tactful to take on and nearly beat any Jackie Chan character. In fact, I don't know if Jackie Chan's character would have won if he didn't just happen to have a knife with him to cut himself free from her chokehold with her hair when she just happened to be hanging off a balcony.
If you make Jackie Chan use an actual weapon instead of a ladder or a sea urchin or something, you know you've got some skill.
Exactly. She may not be the strongest or have the most unique attacks with her hair manipulation powers, but when she uses her powers, they are used intelligently for the time we see her on screen, which helps make her our number 1. So, what do you think? Agree? Disagree? Let us know who your favorite hair manipulator is. Even though we covered 20 choices for the first time on this channel, it's still possible we missed a few. Thank you for watching and also for 2,000 subs. We really appreciate the subscribers, likes, and comments, and we hope you keep on enjoying yourselves. In addition, thank you to everybody else who helped out with the footage and background music in this video. Anyway, see you all next time.
Thanks for stopping by.